With the applicability of prevailing wages expanding across industries and increasingly complicated regulations, it's easy to get caught in the confusion of what wages apply when trying to figure out what you owe your workers. While minimum wages and prevailing wages are similar in concept, there are key differences between the two. Let's break them down. A minimum wage is the lowest wage an employer can legally pay to their employees. Minimum wages can exist on different area levels, like federal, state, and local levels. The minimum wage is always applicable to employers in an area, and employers are required to pay the highest of the active minimum wages in their area. For example, if the federal minimum wage is $7.25, the state minimum wage is $14.50, and the city minimum is $15.25, then the employer should pay $15.25, the highest of the three. While a minimum wage is applicable to regions, prevailing wages are applicable to specific trades. Prevailing wages are often collected from the union wages in an area or surveys typically gathered from local data. For example, a project subject to prevailing wage would require that an employer pays their workers, laborers, and mechanics the wages set for the trade they work in. Prevailing wages typically set a unique rate for each classification or trade. For example, laborers may be owed $24 and electricians may be owed $50. For more information on prevailing wage applicability, you can watch our video covering prevailing wage and how it may appear on projects. Let's take a look at a unique theoretical example of the overlap between minimum wage and prevailing wage. A contractor has received federal funding for a project in 2015. They found that their project is subject to federal prevailing wages, the Davis-Bacon Act, and these wages have been set for the project. In 2015, they owed $9 under the local minimum wage and $12 under the prevailing wage. In 2020, the local minimum wage became $13, but the prevailing wages were still $12. Although the prevailing wage for the trade is $12, the employer must meet the minimum wage and pay $13. It's best practice to evaluate the highest rate you may be obligated to pay to avoid potential penalties or legal implications for underpayments. Be sure to review the minimum wages for your area and prevailing wages for your project to make sure you're paying your employees in the accordance with the legal requirements for the project.
Thank you for watching this video. If you need further help or have prevailing wage questions, feel free to give us a call or reach out to us through our website. You can also follow us on our social media platforms for any future updates. Here at Alliant, we'll help you get compliant.